After months of work, multiple designs, and some serious setbacks, our new website is finally here. But this isn't just a sales site. With this launch, we've created a platform for even more resources to help you become a great real-world developer. Now, just as a quick introduction, if you don't know me, my name is Tim Corey, and my goal is to make learning C# easier. The way I fund that effort is by selling courses on IAmTimCorey.com. Up until now, the site has been limited by Teachable, our course provider. Now, we have a fully custom-built site that allows us to provide better free and paid resources. So let's go take a look at it. So this is our new website. This was created by my team. I helped, but my team was very instrumental in building this site. And this really is the foundational part of our website. This website is just phase one. We have a whole list of things that we're adding to this soon. But I want to show you what we have right now so we can get started in what the features are, because there are some new things that I want you to notice. Okay, so first of all, if you just want to go to all courses, cool. Go to all courses and you'll notice that we now have the ability to add courses to a shopping cart. So you can add courses to the shopping cart, comes up here. You can now purchase more than one course at a time. That was a limitation of our old site and was quite frustrating. Also note that these prices that you're seeing, if you don't see the exact same price, that's because the price reflects your purchase price based upon your location. So if you're in Europe, then they'll apply VAT or VAT. And so this price will be reflective of that VAT being added. That's a European thing I don't control. These US prices are the prices that I actually charge. Anything in addition to that is taxes. Okay, so we have the ability to add multiple items to the cart. We can view as many courses as you want. You can also now search for a course. Let's say you're interested in Docker. Well, there are 3 courses that talk about Docker in some way. So we have Docker from start to finish. We have upgrading .NET Core from start to finish. We also have the Prove It web development course. So some of these will mention or use Docker a little bit. Some of them will be larger. But this way you can see which courses you might want to take a peek at. And let's say you want to take a bigger peek at what the Docker course has to offer. Learn more. You can go in here and see how many hours of training there is right here at the top. Some courses, not all, some courses will have closed captions. And so it will mention on the card that they do have closed captions. For instance, if we go back to all courses and look at the foundation web development, we have English subtitles for this course. So it does mention that there. Also notice it's 43 hours of videos for this course. So this tells you right away what's in the course and how large it is and if there are subtitles or not. We're trying to get subtitles for all of our courses or most of our courses. So we are in the process of doing that. You also see what you're going to learn, what you'll be able to do. In this case, this is the foundation web development. It does have bonuses that you can get for purchasing the course. You'll also see more information about me, why you should learn from me, and so on. So there's lots of great stuff in here. Hopefully it'll answer all your questions. You'll get all of your needs met for courses. But this is not just about courses. Let's go back to the main page. And let's talk about becoming the easier path to becoming a developer. And we're working through trying to help get you the information you need in your hands to make the best decision for your specific case. Okay, and so the first step in this is this website. Now, we do not yet have a path builder. That may be something you're saying, hey, Tim, new website, where's the path builder? It is close. It is not ready yet. It is close. I want to get the new website out first because of the fact that it will help you take steps down that path, but we are working on a customized path builder to be even more specific to your situation. Now, we do have something in here that's new that I wanted to point out specifically because this is something that's going to generate some questions, and I wanted you to understand where we're coming from with this. This is the training calculator. This is something I work through with people, and I have worked with people for years on an informal basis. And so I figured let's just formalize this and give you the power to see the real costs of what you're doing. So we've given you three options. These are general broad categories. Obviously, you can specialize in a more deep category, but we've decided, hey, here's some broad categories. And the broad categories are C# developer. If you want to write C#, that's probably the one you want to choose. If you want to be a web developer, not necessarily C# at all, just web, then pick the middle category. And if you want to kind of combine those two and be a C# web developer, and yes, you need the skills of a web developer and the skills of C# and combine those two, you don't just learn C# of the web, but if you want to combine those two, that's the third option. So let's choose just C# developer. When you make a choice, it gives you a number of options afterwards. Let's talk through these options because they can be a bit confusing if you come from a different country or you have a different perspective. So I'm going to ask you two questions. What's your expected salary? Meaning if you become a C# developer, which is hopefully your goal. So if your goal is to get a job in C#, what's your expected salary right out of the gate? Now, by default, if I choose C# developer, it says $90,500, and that's per year. Now, that seems like an awful lot of money, but that is based upon actual studies of US developers and their average salaries. Now, you might say, hey, you know, that's way too much out of the gate. I want to adjust that. No problem. You can adjust it wherever you want, but that's the average, not the high end. That's the average developer salary for C# developer. And I have the statistics. We're going to bring those in and allow you to see those shortly. We don't have a place to put them yet, but we're going to put those there shortly. So you can go and look yourself and see what the actual numbers are and how they line up. But you might say, you know what, Tim, I think I'm going to make a lot less than that in my first job. Okay. So let's move that slider down to, let's say, $60,000 a year. Anything below that, you're probably not making enough as a C# developer. Okay. So if you're targeting C# developer, you probably should be expecting $60,000 or more a year, again, in the US. Now, will there be other locations that could make less? Absolutely. Every area is different. I could not make a universal calculator for every location, so I chose the US where we're located, and quite frankly, where our pricing is based upon, because I'm paying US salaries to my employees, including myself. So we base all the numbers off of the US. So your mileage may vary, but this will give you a good ballpark. So you can move a slider wherever you want based upon what you think your initial or soon-to-be salary is going to be as a C# developer. Now, if you're a web developer, that average pay is $76,000, not $90,000. And of course, you can go lower as well or higher. But let's just choose C# developer. We'll move us down to $65,000 a year, okay? Now, the next question is, what's your expected pace? So when you're training for this new job, how many hours per week do you expect to train? Because this is important. If you say, hey, I'm going to spend an hour a week, well, it's going to take you a long time to become a C# developer. But if you say, I'm going to spend 40 hours a week, well, then you're a C# developer much quicker, if it really is effective. I find that trying to study too much per week can actually burn you out. But I chose a number that is a good place to start. If you are trying to become a C# developer, hey, pick 5 hours a week. Okay, so these are the two questions I'm going to ask you after you choose your goal. And if you notice down below, there's a results category. And what I wanted to do, and this is what I've walked through people with before informally, is I wanted to give you a apples to apples comparison. So if you work 5 hours per week to become a C# developer, using my tools, my courses, it should take you about 42 weeks to complete. Now, that's based upon taking the content in my course and spending 3 times as long studying it. So if it's for every hour of content, you spend 3 hours training, okay? That's what I based it upon. That's what I encourage people to do. Now, based upon that, it's going to cost you $12 a week. Well, how is that based upon? Well, 42 weeks to complete, based upon, and then multiplied by the price of In this case, the C# master course, which is what you would need if you want to become a C# developer, is a C# master course. Based upon that, it's about $12 per week that you're going to pay. Now, of course, you pay it all up front, but I want to kind of divide this out so you can see an apples to apples comparison. And then you should be complete by June of 2023. That's based upon today's date and going out 5 hours per week, 42 weeks. That'll be June of 2023 as of the recording of this video. If you do it 6 months from now or a year from now, it'll be June of 2024. So this does change based upon how long you decide to take as far as your pace. Now, the reason I did this is because people often say, well, I want to study an hour a week, and then wonder why it's taking so long. Well, it's taking so long because that's going to really push out your time frame. You got a lot of work to do. According to this, the completion date is September of 2026 if you study 1 hour per week. Now, that's a long time. So you might say, oh, I don't want to do that. Well, then figure out what time you do want to do. Let's move it around and say, hey, I want to be done by December. Well, that requires 16 hours per week of work. Are you prepared to commit that? Because you can't, there's reality here. The reality is it takes a long time to become a C# developer. The more time you put in, the quicker your end date is of being a ready for the workforce employee. Okay, so this kind of gives you a good reality check to say, hey, here's my pace that I need to set. Now, we're going to skip over the salary earned with Head Start for just a minute and look at the other columns. So weeks to complete, notice, let's move it back down to 5. Okay, 42 weeks to complete the IAmTimCorey course. If you decide, hey, I want to go to the university and get a 4-year degree in software development, hopefully with C# in it. Well, that's going to take you 1,664 weeks. And you say, Tim, no, it won't. 4 years times 12 or 52 weeks in a year, that's only 208 weeks. Where'd you get 1,664 weeks? Well, let's go back to here, expected pace. Now, have you ever tried to go to college for only 5 hours a week? That is one tiny class a week, if you can even do that. I'm sorry, one tiny class at a time, and maybe even not even that, okay? So usually colleges, you're spending 20 to 40 hours a week between the actual classes and the studying and the work that it's required for the class. So you may say, well, then why aren't you putting this at 40? Well, because you could do that. Because if you want an apples to apples comparison of doing 40 hours, notice 208 weeks to complete university, but it only take you 6 weeks to complete the IAmTimCorey. So there's an apples to apples comparison. If you put in the same amount of effort into one as the other, these are the outcome differences. Okay. Now back to 5, you notice we also have the cost per week. So if you went this long route, which you probably can't, but let's just, again, apples to apples comparison. If you could, then it would cost you $56 per week compared to 12. So it's about 5 times as expensive. And the completion date would be July of 2054. That's just a couple of years from now. All right. As compared to, let's go to boot camp. 5 hours per week for a boot camp is, I'm not even sure it's possible because boot camps are designed to be a more intensive process. But if you did, it'd probably be about 128 weeks to complete and cost on average. And I base this upon, again, all these prices are based upon US averages. And I picked the low end of the averages. So about $106 per week to complete. And be done February of 2025, only about 2 years after the IAmTimCorey plan. But if you went self-taught, and this is the other one that I hear a lot is, hey, I want to do self-taught. And I encourage people, be self-taught, okay? This is not a negative. This is definitely a positive, but there is a cost associated. And that's where people often say, well, Tim, no, there's not. Notice there's no cost per week, okay? But the cost of self-taught is you have to spend more time. Now, not everybody has the same number of dollars in their bank account. Okay, that's universal. The fact that there's inequality as far as our bank accounts. Different people have different amounts coming in every week, different salaries, and so on. If you're in certain countries, you may never see $1,000. Where in other countries, that might be a low salary per week. So yes, there's inequality in dollars, but we all have the same number of hours in the day. Now, please hear me when I say this. Just because we all have the same amount of hours in a day does not mean that there's not different pressures on you. If you are working really hard just to get by and you're working 3 jobs, that's not the same as a person who's working 30 hours a week, okay? But everybody has 24 hours a day. And if you cannot pay with money, you have to pay with hours. And so what you do is you say, hey, you know what? I'm going to be self-taught. And self-taught is harder to do because it's not as clear. It's not as easy to do. I've done it. That's how I learned. But it does take some false starts. It does take some going down the wrong trails, some trying to figure out the right resources and so on. And so it takes about 3 times as long to be self-taught as it does to go through my course. So what that means is if it takes 42 weeks to complete my course, it's going to take you 126 weeks to be self-taught. So there's no costs as far as dollars, but you will not be done until February of 2025 as opposed to June of 2023. That's where the cost comes in. And that's why this last line is so important. And yes, it's a little confusing right now, but let's explain it. So this last line right here says, what's your salary earned with Head Start? So imagine that we had 4 different people that learn the same C# information. In general averages, they should get a job, the same type of job, at about the same rate. So when they say, okay, I'm ready, and they start applying, it may take them 6 months to get a job, but they should get a C# job. And if all of them are about the same as far as when they are done to when they get a job, it's about the same. Well, then the difference is how soon are they done? This is where an opportunity cost comes in. Because if you are done in June of 2023 and you get a job, let's say 6 months after you're done. So you get a job by January 1st of 2024. Now, you have a job as of January 1st, 2024. The self-taught person isn't even done studying until February of 2025, which means that you will be in that job for a year and a half because 6 months from February is, August? So you'll be August 2025 versus January 2024. It's about a year and a half, a year and 8 months, faster than the self-taught person. So what is that cost? Well, that comes back to your expected salary. If you get a job at $65,000 a year, both people do, but this person gets a job in June of 2023 or even, January 2024, and this person gets their job in August of 2025, the difference will be $105,000 based upon that salary, which means that while you may have paid $500 to take the course, you will have saved $104,500. That's how much you will earn compared to self-taught. Now, I base these comparisons to self-taught. Now, university, notice there's a negative sign in front of this. You will actually lose $2 million. Why is that? Because you're not going to start your job until at the earliest July of 2054. And with a boot camp, you'll lose $2,500 because you'll actually be slower than the self-taught person. So you'll lose a couple $1,000s. So the boot camp will cost you money and it will cost you even more with that opportunity cost. Now you can adjust these numbers and say, hey, I'm gonna put in 20 hours a week, and now all of a sudden you've made $27,000 compared to the self-taught person. The boot camp does save you a little bit of money there. So maybe that's a viable option compared to your self-taught. So that's what the training calculator is here for, is to give you kind of this idea of play around with. I don't want you to think just about dollars for a course. Now, okay, selfishly, I am selling courses. And so obviously I want you to see that course in the best light possible. And I want you to see this as, hey, it's no big deal to spend money. That's not what I'm saying here. Okay. I'm not saying it's no big deal, but I do want you to think through opportunity costs. Now, if you can find a better course than mine and it takes you through faster, I don't think you can, but if you can, then you will beat even my opportunity costs. Okay. So absolutely, if you can find a $10 course that has better content than mine, that will help you become a developer as fast or faster than my course does, then absolutely go do it. All right. So, but what I want you to do is think through, it's not just the initial cost of the course. Okay. So these aren't just about, well, that's the initial cost. Yes. But an extra $27,000 compared to losing $500,000, that's a big deal. Okay. So if you're thinking right now, should I take a $500 course or go get a 4-year degree? Well, I think there's your answer. I mean, if you change this to here, okay, so you're going to lose, it's going to cost you $237,000 of lost time as compared to gaining you $15,000. So it's a $250,000 swing of getting a degree versus just going through the course. All right. A boot camp, you're going to get, a little bit farther ahead, even compared to university. So there's some favorability there too. But I want you to think through the costs in terms of your time, in terms of when you can get that job and what that means for you financially as well. And I have not even touched the fact that when you do get a job, let's just say you get a job day one because it's easier than trying to add 6 months to each. So let's say you get a job October of 2022 compared to January of 2023. Now it's not much of a difference, but let's actually move it down and make it easier. There's 10 hours per week. It's significant even for when you're doing it part-time. But February 2023 versus November of 2023. So the difference there is going to be about 9 months. So you're going to get a job 9 months faster because you're starting 9 months earlier. Okay, on average. We're talking averages again. So it's not just about the fact that you'll make $52,000 more by being in that job 9 months earlier. It's also about the fact that you'll have 9 months more experience than the person who's starting from here. And you'll always have 9 months more experience. So when they're at 1 year experience, you're at 1 year, 9 months. So when it comes time for, salary increases, you'll get 9 months earlier. Like all those things happen 9 months earlier because of the fact that you were able to get that job earlier. So that's why I created this calculator to think through not just the very, very surfacey, how much does this cost, but how much does it really cost? What are the real opportunity costs? So that's just one of the things we added to the website. This training calculator here, we're going to be even improving this. We'll be, again, putting those numbers next to it so you can actually research yourself and make sure that you understand why these numbers are what they are. They are rock solid, and they're not mine, just made up numbers. They're actually numbers from industry surveys. But we're also going to create out of this a custom training plan for you. And so we're working on that. That'll be the next step in this process. You'll be able to see your actual numbers over time. We'll create a schedule for you, and we'll give you the resources to get started in this. So with all of this, that's just one of the things in the new website. We have featured courses. we have the All Access Pass. Let's go to the Pass. Right now, the Pass is only open for annual. Okay, we've discussed this before. Eventually, our goal, and one of the things this website's going to allow us to eventually do, is eventually we're not going to close the monthly pass. So what happens right now is the monthly pass is open for enrollment a few times per year, and then we close it back down. And the reason for that is because we had a number of people that were basically stealing. That's what it came down to. They'd jump into the pass for a little bit, download all the content, cancel it out, and then the next time I rolled out a course, they would jump in just long enough to download the new content or wait even for a couple courses to build up and then do it again. And they were just trying to download everything. And then they were actually even distributing my courses on other platforms, selling them as their own or just giving them away for free. While I do not put too many restrictions in place for stolen content, I try to give you, as the person that's doing it right, I try and give you as much latitude to do what you want as possible. But this is the one area where we really say, hey, you know what? This would really cut down on theft if we were to only open it a few times a year. And the benefit there is we open it a few times a year. People who want to get in. Yes, a few people try to get in who want to just download all the content, but then they can't get back in when they want to get that new course that I put out. And so it causes them to say, hey, maybe I'll just stick in and, stick around for a while. And that's kind of the whole point of the All Access Pass to begin with. However, we are working on a system where we can keep it open all the time. But in the meantime, it is closed. Most of the time, we open it a few times a year. The annual pass is different because it's an annual pass. It's a more expensive product, but at the same time, it's that same pass, and you actually essentially get 2 months for free because if you notice, this is US pricing, but $50 a month times 12 months is $600. But if you pay $500 per year, you get a year of content. So it's like getting 2 months for free. Okay, so the All Access Pass is here. Again, this website will eventually allow us to open that all the time. So that's kind of the main part of the website. We also have resources here though. Okay, so this resources page, we're going to keep adding to with more and more resources. And whenever possible, these resources will be free. So, of course, the YouTube channel, which you're watching this video on probably, that's got a bunch of over 430 videos for free. But it's also the Dev Question Series. I'm not sure if you all know about this, but I have a Dev Question Series that's not just videos on YouTube. It's also a podcast. So if you want to listen to it in the podcast, click here, go to the podcast, subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, and a whole lot more. So check that out. We're on episode 119 as of today. So we're going to keep rolling along with the Dev Question Podcast, where I answer career advice, I answer C# questions, I answer a lot of questions that are maybe questions you wouldn't normally see in a developer website. Because, yeah, I can show you code all day long, but there's also the stuff around the code. Like, how do you work with coworkers? Or, how do I train my team up? And a whole bunch of other questions like that. So those answers are all on devquestions.com. I do have, and we're working on improving, but I do have a developer blog. So if you want to check the blog out, go to the blog. We're going to eventually have blog entries for some, if not most, of our YouTube videos. So you can read about it instead of just watching a video. You can skip over the boring parts if you want, but we'll have that eventually. It's just a matter of putting the right team in place to get that done. I cannot do that as well as create the content for the videos, but we'll have somebody else doing that. So we also have a student forum. If you have purchased a course, so if you purchase a course, you can go to the student forum and get access to that course's forum. Now, one note here is we have not yet cracked the nut of the All Access Pass. The All Access Pass is basically a rental. You are renting it either month to month or annually, year to year. But In a forum, that's kind of tough if you lose access to the forum after you have lost access to the past. And so we're working through that for right now. If you purchase a course, which is lifetime access, then you have access to the forum for that course. We can ask course-specific questions. Also, I'm not sure if you've seen this yet or not, but we have a new C# project page. This C# project gives you an overview of all the projects in C# that come out of the box and how to use them. They're grouped by category: desktop, web, service, mobile, and gaming is coming soon. So you can see things like, hey, what web project options are there? Well, there's 7 of them. And what is gRPC? Well, if you click on it, you should probably know C# first. But then here's an intro to gRPC video that's free. And hey, you want to learn more about it in a course? Well, there's the C# Master Course link that you can go to. So that the C# project site, again, free to use. We're updating this every time we make changes to that would benefit this page. We add more stuff there. And then if you have a suggestion for new content to be created, new videos, new courses, new dev questions, go to the suggestion site, which again is linked right here. Add your suggestion. Right now there's 338 as of today, and there's some pretty popular ones in here. So pick the thing that you want to add, make a suggestion, or find one that's already been asked and say, hey, yeah, you know what? I want to learn more about rewriting a 15-year-old code base. So I'll upvote that. So the suggestion site is there as well. But again, this resources page, I want you to keep coming back to it. We're going to add more stuff to it. This is just the start of the IAmTimCorey website. We're trying to add more and more resources. So it's not just a sales site. I mean, yes, we have sales. If you want to go buy courses, cool, go buy courses. But the real goal here is to give you a resource, a one-stop shop that you don't get to shop for. It's a one-stop free for free resources to help you out in becoming a C# developer, in becoming a better C# developer, in getting a job in software development. Now, one of the courses in our list is the Foundation in Web Development, which, if you notice here, is under the Master Courses section. It's still called Foundation in Web Development. There might be a clue there as to some upcoming changes, but the Foundation Web Development course, this course is all about teaching you how to build professional websites, powerful HTML, CSS, and JavaScript websites. One of the things that's getting lost today is the idea of knowing how to actually build a website, not how to build an Angular site or a React site or a Vue site or a Blazor site. Those are great, but whenever you're building a website, you need to know the fundamental principles, things like how to make it accessible so that a person using a screen reader can read it, how to make it so that it properly gets picked up in Google search results, how to make it so that it is fast, how it shows up in SEO and making sure it shows up in the right search results as high as possible. All those things, as well as how to just do some really cool stuff with layouts and all the rest. How do I do all that? Well, this course covers that. But I want to point out something else, just in case you have this course or you're thinking about getting this course. This whole site, this new website that I created, that my team created, this whole thing was built using just the tools that I give you in that course. This course right here, I use just those tools and built this whole site. So if you're thinking, can it be a professional site? Can it be a real site? Can we, yes, because I just did it. So this site right here, we're going to continue to improve it. It's not perfect. And one of the things that I teach, but I wanted to model as well, is the fact that you need to ship. When you are creating something, you can't just let it sit. You have to, at some point, ship it before you think it's ready. And that's what we're doing here. We've got lots more that we want to fix, lots more we want to update, and so on. But I think we're ready to at least launch this much. Now, it isn't perfect, like I said. So if you come across a bug, I'd love to hear about it. I'd love to know that there's a bug on the site. I'd love to know if you even have an idea how to fix it. That'd be even better. So what we've done is the website itself is not yet, we're working on it, but it's not yet open source. But in the meantime, what we've done is create a GitHub link called Site Issues. It's on IAmTimCorey on my GitHub profile. This is called Site Issues. If you notice an issue with this site, or and there's a list here, suggestion site, mailing list sign up site, C# Master Course site. If you notice an issue, you can come here to Issues, create a new issue, brand new, no issues yet. That's going to change. But create a new issue. Please be as specific as possible. Please be clear in the issue. Give me screenshots. Explain what device you're on. Explain the behavior and what the expected behavior you think should be. There's also an option there to leave some feedback as far as, hey, I want this feature added, or this enhancement to the site as well. But try to be clear as to what you think it should do and what it's not doing or what you'd like it to do. All right, so please use this if you notice any issues. This is not the place to add new suggestions for new videos or new content. This is only a place for the sites themselves. If you have a suggestion for new content, suggestion site. Okay, it's linked right there. Use that. But I'd greatly appreciate if you would use that for us. Okay, so this is the new website. Check it out. I hope that it's useful to you. I hope that you can get additional value out of it. And I can't wait to show you all the new stuff that's coming shortly after this launch with this new site. All right. Thanks for watching. And as always, I am Tim Corey.